The Evaluator Graphical Decision Support module is a complementary submodule to the Prioritization Decision Support and automatically generates presentation quality graphics that sharply illustrate all of the conclusions and prioritize and optimize results displayed in the Prioritization Decision Support submodule. Acquitous Decision Support best practice is for you to leverage the Graphical Decision Support module after first viewing the Prioritization Decision Support results. This enables you to then use this submodule to gain a graphical and visual perspective of the key conclusions already revealed in the Prioritization Decision Support submodule. This process can help you much more easily decide, for example, if you want to run additional what-if simulations to further refine your decisions about the project and precisely which metrics to be included in your next simulation. The first video of the Evaluator Graphical Decision Support module demonstrates automated, prioritized decision support. This is the Evaluator navigation cockpit from which you can reach all modules of the solution. Clicking on the Results Generator navigation button immediately takes you to the Graphical Decision Support homepage. The Evaluator Graphical Decision Support module generates presentation-ready graphs that have optimization and prioritization automatically embedded within each chart. This prioritization of metrics is displayed in the extreme right-hand column titled Rank. The system enables the user to assign a priority to each of the key performance indicators from 1, which is the highest priority, to up to 100, which represents the lowest priority. These rank results are automatically and consistently optimized and prioritized throughout all of the Evaluator submodules. For this example, it can be seen that the charts for the return on shareholders' equity have been defined as the highest priority, and so we will review the chart which displays the results of the projected performance of the project for this key metric. A single click on the Run Navigation button to the left of the metric name automatically generates the desired graphics. As we will see, this run generated two charts, one on the left-hand side of the screen being for the return on shareholders' equity, which is where we will focus, and just for reference, the one on the right being return on total financing. This presentation quality chart shows not only projected return on shareholders' equity for each year of the project and for the average over the project life, but also displays the target set for each time period immediately above the line representing the projected performance. The system identifies the target values with a light red bar and a light blue bar for the projected value to make it easier to quickly assess the differences between the projected and target values. It should be further noted that there are additional charts available that display the difference and the percent difference between these projected and target values. These charts use results that are identical to the versus target data from the Evaluator Prioritization Decision Support tables, as well as identical to the versus percent target data from that table for the charts displaying the percent difference. This concludes the demo for the Evaluator Graphical Chart Automated Prioritized Decisions. The second video demonstrates how the Graphical Decision Support module is segmented by financial statement and time period to improve ease of use. This is the Evaluator Graphical Decision Support module home screen. The Acquitous Graphical Decision Support screen segments the charts from two perspectives in order to facilitate the precise identification of which chart you want to generate, by financial statement and by time period. To navigate to the desired section of the Evaluator Decision Support submodule, simply click on the appropriate navigation button that appears in the upper left-hand corner of the screen for segmentation by financial statement, or appears in the middle of the screen for segmentation by time period. We will click on the Balance Sheet navigation button to demonstrate the segmentation functionality. And then we'll return to the top of the page by clicking on this other navigation icon. In addition to the already described column containing the rank of each key performance indicator, note that the table also includes in the column statement, the financial or valuation statement to which the metric applied. In the column financial metric, a description of the metrics included in the charts, and a description of the metric can also be assessed by passing your cursor over the appropriate name and clicking to generate the context-sensitive description. In the column description, the number of and type of charts that will be generated, and as previously described, in the column rank, the prioritization or rank of each metric from the highest priority rank with a number of 1 to the lowest priority rank with a number as high as 100. And we see also in the analysis column the Run Navigation button that automatically generates the charts when clicked. This concludes the demo for the graphical decision support discussion of segmentation by financial statement and time. The third video demonstrates the use of embedded projected versus target optimization. This is the Evaluator Decision Support Module home screen. Each key performance indicator metric chart contains the projected value for the performance of that metric, as well as the target value used to define project success for that metric. This approach enables you to focus on the degree to which a project exceeds or falls short of the targets you have established for project success. The example here will focus on the overall project valuation, and we just click the Run button to generate the results. This example illustrates how the project is projected to generate an asset valuation, which is defined as unleveraged without any debt financing, of $786 million, which is a solid $286 million higher than the target of $500 million. Similarly, in terms of the equity valuation, which is defined as potentially including at least some debt financing of operating working capital, for example, or the initial project startup costs, is projected to generate a return of $662 million, which is a similar $312 million higher than its $350 million target. These numbers graphically and sharply reinforce the conclusion drawn from the Prioritization Decision Support module that this would be a highly successful project based on the current set of assumptions. This concludes the demo for the graphical decision support discussion of embedded project versus target. The fourth video demonstrates automatic generation of charts. This is the Evaluator Graphical Decision Support homepage. The Evaluator Graphical Decision Support submodule enables the automatic generation of presentation quality charts literally with the click of a single navigation button. For example, the charts displaying return on operating assets and return on invested capital are generated simply by clicking on the appropriate Run Navigation button that appears in the column immediately to the left of the description. The system immediately generates the desired charts, and we'll focus for the purpose of this demo on the chart which is on the left-hand side, which is the operating profit as a percent of operating assets. In this case, we can see that as previously described in the graphical decision support table, the Run generated the two charts, the one for return on operating assets on the left-hand side of the screen, and the one on the right-hand side of the screen for return on invested capital. These charts are generated in another screen from the Evaluator Graphical Decision Support screen for efficiency, but it's seamless to the user. This same process also generated the Filtered Graphical Decision Support table and the Best Practices Interpretation of Results table, that will both be described in the next two sections of this graphical decision support demo. Once the review of the tables is complete, we simply scroll up to the top of the screen and we click on the Refresh Navigation button in order to restore the graphical decision support table containing the data from which these charts were developed. And now, clicking on the Results Generator Navigation button takes us back to the initiating Evaluator Graphical Decision Support home screen and ready to do another one-click generation of other charts. This concludes the demo for the graphical decision support discussion of the auto-generation of charts. The fifth video demonstrates the automated generation of filtered tables of results. The Evaluator Graphical Decision Support home screen. The same procedure that resulted in the auto-generation of the charts described in the demo previously also generated the graphical decision support filter tables that contain the data used to generate these charts, also in presentation quality format. This results in being able to view both the charts and the data from which they were created on the same screen. For this example, the graphical decision support table containing the return on operating assets and the return on invested capital is generated simply by clicking on the appropriate Run Navigation button immediately to the left of the description. The system automatically filters this table so that it displays only the data relevant to the desired charts. The desired single filter table contains data for both the return on operating assets, as we see here, as well as the data for the return on invested capital. The graphical decision support filter table displayed here contains all of the data used in the creation of the desired companion charts, as well as provided in the column heading, financial metric, the definition of the metrics, in the column statement, the name of the statement to which they are related, in the time segment, year or quarter or other relevant time segment as defined in the Acquidus Modeling Decision Support module, year in this example, in the column time period, the specific time period included in the charting, the 4 years and the average of these years in this example, in terms of measure, the units of measure of this data, percentage in this example, in the column change, none if this is the data for the chosen time period, which is the case for this example, or yes if the data represents the change in metric values from one time period to another, and finally in the column value we get to the area that is displaying the projected and target data to be charted. Once the review of the graphical decision support table is complete, we simply click on the Refresh Navigation button in the upper left-hand corner of the screen to return this table back to its full pre-chart and pre-filtered state. Then clicking on the Results Generator Navigation button again takes us back to the initiating Evaluator Graphical Decision Support home screen and ready to do another one-click generation of other tables and charts. This concludes the demo for the Graphical Decision Support auto-generated filtered table of results. The sixth and last video demonstrates the automatic generation of best practices interpretation of results. This is the Evaluator Graphical Decision Support home screen. The same procedure that resulted in the auto-generation of the filtered graphical decision support tables and charts generates the best practices interpretation tables that contain the interpretation of the data used to generate these charts and also in a presentation quality format. This results in being able to view on the same screen the charts, the data from which they were created, and also the best practices interpretation of the results. For example, the interpretation table displaying the return on operating assets is generated simply by again clicking on the appropriate Run Navigation button to the left of the description. The system immediately generates the desired interpretation tables, one for each chart, and containing the interpretation of the data for each of the return on operating assets and the return on investment capital metrics. These are the interpretation tables. For the purpose of this demo, we will illustrate this key functionality using the left-hand interpretation table based on the return on operating assets. The Evaluator Graphical Decision Support uniquely generates these interpretation tables that comprise 5 elements. Project, the name of the project, in this case the Phoenix Community Project. Metric, for the left-hand table here, this would be the return on operating assets, and the interpretation contains an explicit and exact definition of any calculations involved. The time frame displays the full set of time frames from which the data was extracted, and in this example the data was drawn from 4 annual years plus the 4-year average. Units, again clarifying the units of measure, and in this case it's percentage, operating profit as a percentage of operating assets. And then explanation. The system explains how to interpret the sequence of results and the implications of higher or lower levels of projected and projected versus target results. In this example, the interpretation is that a higher percent return on operating assets indicates a more successful project and an increased probability of meeting or exceeding the target objectives. Once the review of the interpretation table is complete, we simply go up to the top of the screen and we click on the Refresh Navigation button in order to restore the screen and the filter table containing the data to its original pre-chart and pre-filtered table generation state. And we click on the Results Generation Navigation button, and it takes us again back to the Initiating Evaluator Graphical Decision Support home screen and ready to do another one-click generation of other interpretation, filter table, optimization, and charts. This concludes the demo for the Evaluator Graphical Decision Support module.